Welcome back to the Capital City Creative Podcast. I am joined here by my guest, Imani Khayyam, photographer, future cinematographer. Thank you so much for being on the show today.
Thank you, bro.
Excited to kind of get to hear just about creativity in you.
Right.
And so just got 3 questions for you.
Okay.
So let's jump into it.
Let's do it.
So, Imani, how do you create?
How do I create? I create simply from my mind. A lot of times my creativity comes from like a thought equated to nostalgia, like from my past.
Yeah.
You know, like I always reference like the 90s.
Mm-hmm.
So growing up, I used to watch a lot of music videos, and that really like amped my creativity. So a lot of times I'll know, you know, to go back to a certain reference point, and I'll look up ideas from there because I just love the era of the 90s. And then I'll use that as a way to really just push my own ideas.
Yeah.
You know, so it kind of starts there. And then I'm like creating from there. And then ultimately, the ideas, you know, of something that I want to create for myself, that just adds to it.
Yeah. And so, with like with photography, is that with like settings? Is that with scenes and shoots and just like all those things?
Yeah, it's kind of like like settings, scenes, lighting, color,
Yeah.
style, you know, all of that, the mood, the energy. I'm paying attention to all that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, what camera are you using right now? What's one of your?
I like to shoot a lot of film
Okay.
when I'm doing photography, and especially what I call conceptual work.
Mm-hmm.
So right now, my favorite camera would be my Mamiya RZ
Okay.
6.7. It's a medium format film camera, and I love to do a lot of portraits with it.
Yeah.
And then I shoot 35 millimeter every now and then.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. He's got a camera right here with us. So I thought he was gonna reference it. Yeah.
Yeah, I just got that one. That's a Nikon N80. It's actually it's a SLR camera, but it functions like a DSLR camera, which is why I love it. So I'll probably be using that one more often now as well, because it has a flash on it and everything. So it's pretty solid.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Speaking of cameras, if you heard me introduce him earlier as a photographer and future cinematographer, you got a Canon R5C.
Yeah. It's funny because when I first met you, we was talking about the R5C. You was just like, whoa, but no, the R5C is my choice for my digital work.
Yeah.
I got it simply because I want to move into cinematography.
Yeah.
And, you know, really focus on like more of like shorts and documentary work. And it's just good for a lot of the personal photography work that I do as well. So it's a great balance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got one for you. So, anything that you're passionate about, right? No one has to like force it out of you. It just like leaks.
Yeah.
And we have that in common where we know certain cameras and equipment, and it's like you love those things, you know,
Right.
or you enjoy them. But it's not the camera that makes the creative. It's the creative, you know, using their skills and using who they are to help make the product that a camera produces.
Absolutely.
What would you say to that?
I agree. I think as a creative, it starts with an idea.
Mm-hmm.
You know, nothing is new under the sun. I think what I've always and what I tell people is that I study the greats. I study people that, you know, visually, you know, when you see something that's amazing.
Yeah.
And so when I see something that's really dope, I'm like, I want to know the ins and outs of how that is done. And if I like it, I'm going to study it enough to use some of those same techniques for my own work.
Right.
You know, I think the biggest thing that I've come to realize is that, you know, we're all different.
Yeah.
You know, we're all made different, meaning whatever I create is going to be mine, and whatever you create is going to be yours, you know, which kills the whole, you know, somebody's doing something like me, or, you know,
Right.
no, not necessarily, because it didn't come from, you know, what I did came from me, you know. The inspiration is from my own thoughts, my own ideas. I just use certain tools and techniques that were already, you know, readily available to anybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stealing like an artist just came in my head.
Okay,
but like
yeah.
when you see inspiration from people, you're like, oh, I can take that. But you don't take it straight from, you don't take it and duplicate it like carbon copy, but you take it and, you don't take it and copy it.
Right.
You take it and you filter it through your own creativity.
Right. I think I've seen a lot of references, and if it's people that I really like, I just would look at them every once in a while, and I try not to stay on them.
Yeah.
But you have to, you know, train yourself to not take an idea from someone else to, you know, reduplicate the whole thing.
Yeah.
I'll study a lot of different people, and sometimes I don't even study photography. Sometimes I study art.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes I study, you know, other types of photographers, you know, not just fashion or creatives or style, or, you know, just because I'm a portrait, so I love portraits. I'm a portrait guy. But I'll study other types, and then I'll take inspiration from that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So who are some of those?
Man, I can name a lot of people. I'll throw a name out there that a lot of people probably don't know about, but there's a lady, I have a photo book at home, who her work has really inspired me. Her name is Dana Lixenberg. She's a woman from, she's a Dutch woman, and she did this series of photos in LA years ago called, and this projects, and these projects called Imperial Courts. And she took these black and white large format photos with a large format camera, which you have to load the film one at a time, of these people in this neighborhood. And you can tell that these people have, you know, been through, you know, a lot.
Yeah.
And so it was amazing to see the beauty in the photos, and how she was able to resonate with the people, and how calm they were through the images, knowing that this could be a really hostile environment.
Yeah.
And so in this book, she shot this series from the 90s all the way up to the like 2013 or 20, like it's an amazing book, an amazing story. And then from the work that she was able to do there, she shot Biggie and Tupac for like Vibe magazine. And
Wow.
And so she is like, I love her work, portrait work. And presently, I'll say like this guy named Andre Wagner out of New York, who's a street photographer. He shoots a lot of film, black and white. He just, you know, takes the subway, and he'll, you know, just shoot these really beautiful photos of just black people and life.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I can tell you have a lot more.
I do.
Yeah.
I do. Yeah, I do.
Are there any, because this is Capital City Creatives, are there any local creatives?
Oh yeah,
that
man. One of my friends, good friends, Justin Hardiman, Kale Soul, who's
The GOAT.
Yeah. We met years ago, and you know we shared a studio together, and I've learned so much from him. You know, the way he thinks and sees, and he's just, man, that's my guy. Like I would put, he's one of the inspirations as well.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Justin, we need you on the show too.
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah. That's like, there's been several people who just told me about him, and then his stuff is actually, we're in Tulare now at the second location here. off Capitol, but they have another location, and a lot of his artwork is actually in that location, and it's great.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, shout out to Justin. Love to have you on the podcast.
Yeah.
So we talked about, how you create. We talked about who inspires you to create, and then talked about creativity and not limiting yourself to like the equipment you have.
Right.
Now we talked about some of the things you've done, but like, what are you aspiring towards or growing towards now creatively? Like, what are you going after?
Right now, I am challenging myself to learn video. I don't like the word video. I just feel like it's so basic. but I really, and I don't mean no harm when I say that, but honestly, I'm challenging myself to learn how to shoot shorts, short docs, and just cinematography work and things like that. I've never considered video. Like, I was always like, I'm a photographer.
Yeah.
You wouldn't never, like, years ago, I'm like, video what? Who?
Yeah.
Not me. But I've found people that I really like, and the way that they tell stories, and it's something that is like, I want to do that.
Yeah.
So
what? All right. So you're doing photography.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I'm good. Photography.
Yeah.
Portraits, black and whites, shooting film, shooting on the 35. What made you step over? Because we can get so comfortable in doing something, but there's more in us. What made you want to step over into video?
Well, if I be honest, I've always been, I've always been the type to be inspired by movies as well. A lot of the photography that I do, I even reference sometimes movie stills, for inspiration for photography. So just being able to take photography to another step and tell stories through video is, to me, the next best thing. Moving stills. It's and the goal is to always do something that evokes some type of emotion or tells some type of story.
Yeah.
Whether it's photography or video.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I love that. It's funny because just recently, last year, just really kind of getting serious about, videography and things like that in short form. It's like, man, as I'm learning it and hearing these people talk and reading these things, is like, it's storytelling.
Yep.
And if it's not, then,
what is
right,
it?
What is it? But it's storytelling at its
Exactly.
finest. And so I love that. That's like, hey, I can tell stories through photos, but now I want to jump over because the inspiration came from some video. I want to tell stories through video.
Right.
And not just, your short form type stories, but your cinematic, where there's emotion.
That's right.
And things like that, and capturing moments and stuff. And I love that. Definitely excited about, you putting that R5C to work.
Man, me too.
and making things.
Yeah.
And definitely would love to have you back and be able to kind of see some of those things kind of play out. Maybe throw some stuff on Capital City Instagram.
For sure.
But how can they find you? How can they find your work? I know I've seen some of your stuff on Instagram, but how can they find you?
Yeah, I can be found on Instagram at i.khayyam. Website www.imanikhayyam.com. And
all right.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, man, for being on the show, and definitely would love to have you back.
Yeah. Sure. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, for sure, man.